Tonight on To The Point, we talk HIV and AIDS. Of course, this is on the back of the World AIDS Day, which was observed on Friday, that is December the 1st. Now, significant progress has been made in addressing HIV since the first observance of the World AIDS Day in the year 1988. And the world is working towards when HIV is no longer a public threat. But what about the stigma? What about the numbers, which, by the way, are not just numbers, but represent people? That's the conversation we shall be having on To The Point on this broadcast tonight. But first, the highlights. The family of a woman who was killed by hyenas in Thika are up in arms over the response of the Kenya Wildlife Service. This is the 8th reported hyena attack in the same area in recent weeks. Leaders and citizens alike unite to observe the International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
When there is an economic recession, just as it is going to hit hard in many homes, you can imagine that it's going to hit harder in homes that are led by people with disability.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua vows that the government will silence the gunfire in the Rift Valley area, while asking chiefs and government officials to pull up their socks in the fight against illegal arms. And tonight on To The Point, it's all about HIV/AIDS. The world is working towards when HIV is no longer a public threat. But what about the stigma and the numbers which tell a shocking story? Welcome to the broadcast. We're glad you could join us on this third day of December 2023. Now, we invite you to engage with us on our social media handles at TV47 News on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook, and my X handle is at Grace Kuria KE. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai. My name is Grace Kuria Kanja. Once again, welcome to the broadcast. Now, the family of a woman who was attacked and eventually killed by a hyena in the wee hours of Saturday morning in Nyakaba Village, Juja constituency in Kiambu County, is now asking for compensation from the Kenya Wildlife Service, KWS, as well as aiding in funeral activities of their loved one, which happened unexpectedly. More than 8 cases of hyena attacks have recently been reported, with residents threatening to take action if KWS is not properly accountable. Mike Kagwango kicks us off tonight.
This road from Thika Superhighway leads us to Joyce Wampoi's home, a mother of 3 who was mauled by a hyena on Saturday morning on her way to work. The woman is said to have been walking from Nyasaba area to Ndarogo for work when she was attacked.
Hatuna mbele wala nyuma.
With tears of sadness for losing a mother who was a guardian and guide in all ways, the late Wampoi's daughters narrate how it all unfolded.
I guess sasa ni juu ya situation yenye yako hangeweza kupata pesa ya kubode hiyo pikipiki ili afike mahali anafikanga ili aweze kuenda kazi yake. Naomba haki ya mamangu ndiye babangu. Ndiye mamangu. Mamangu ametutafutia kutoka tukiwa wadogo. Hapo nimefika ni mamangu. Niko na sister mdogo wako shule.
They are after calling for Kenya Wildlife Service to intervene and compensate them for their loss.
Naomba dadangu ajue venye atasoma amalize shule.
Mimi sahi hatuna kitu. Umesikia mamangu ameenda kibarua ya kahawa huko coffee plantations. So ni pesa yenye anapata ni ya kukula hiyo siku. Hatuna mbele wala nyuma.
This as residents reveal that despite reporting several deadly cases involving the surrounding hyenas in Nyashaba and Wetethia villages in Juja, Kiambu County, no action appears to have been taken by KWS officials.
Na wapeo pahali ya kukaa juana, wajuesi ati wakulipa nyumba kila kama mama yake alikuwa anatafuta nyumba na ya kukula.
Na hiyo tokana ndio mzuri kufunika hiyo mashimo ndio ishe. Ziko kama ni kuwa utaua 2. Lakini kama ni 100 huko kichaka utaosa kuwa wote.
After Saturday's incident, the angry residents denied police access to collect the body for preservation at Thika General Cargo Mortuary as a way of expressing their deep disappointment over the conduct of the government on the issue of hyena attacks. Kiambu County Governor, who on Sunday morning condoled with the family of Joyce Wampoi, issued a stern warning to quarry excavators in the county who failed to refill their sites promptly after excavation, creating risk for residents and providing hiding spots for wild animals.
Walete magari, walete hiyo vitu, washike wanyama na waache kutuambia ya kwamba kuna upungufu wa watu. Upungufu wa watu wangapi? Wagani? Waacha kutuambia ya kwamba ati kuna shida, sijui fees zinaenda wapi na wapi. Kwani walipewa kazi kama hajui kazi ile wanafaa kufanya?
Now, with unending tales of devastating incidents of hyena attacks here in Georgia, residents want Kenya Wildlife Service to intervene and perhaps compensate more than 8 citizens, including 2 children that are in record of having been attacked by hyenas here in Georgia. Mike Kagwango, TV47 from Juja in Kiambu County.
Thank you, Mike Kagongo, for that. Indeed a menace. Let's move on. International Day of Persons with Disability was commemorated in different parts of the country. Today in Nairobi County, the commemorations took place in Dagoretti South constituency, where Area Member of Parliament John Carrier advocated for the empowerment of PWDs as a way of achieving the SDG goals. According to Carrier, the country has very good policies as far as disability is concerned. However, the challenge arises in the implementation. In West Pokot area, Labour CS Florence Bora said her ministry is working closely with other partners to fight stigma in workplaces among persons with a disability. Florence was speaking during the commemoration of the International Day of Persons with Disability, said the move is part of the government's plans to achieve equity among those with and without disability.
Fundamental issues that the people with disability are facing. Key among them is identification and registration. You find that there is a big number of people with disabilities who are not registered, who are not identified, and as such are not recognized even by the People with Disabilities Council, and so they are not able to benefit from many programs that are made for people with disability. Another challenge is, of course, when there is an economic downturn, like we are experiencing now, when there is an economic recession, just as it is going to hit hard in many homes, you can imagine that it's going to hit harder in homes that are led by people with disability, or homes that have a special needs child, or homes that are probably having to interact with people living with disability, because the needs are special, and so when things take a downturn, they are the ones who suffer most. So this
in collaboration with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics and organizations of and for persons with disabilities, among other stakeholders, also support needs assessment of persons with disabilities and their primary caregivers. The main objective of the assessment is to provide evidence on the met and unmet support needs of diverse persons with disabilities and their family members, to inform them of the design of inclusive social protection schemes. My ministry will work with partners to implement the various recommendations in the report.
Mimi kama county pelekea kushirikiana na mashirika wote, serikali kuu na wale wote wametusaidia kuona kwamba walemavu wamepata haki vile ingetakikana. Kwa hivyo waziri, mstahili kusema mengi, mstahili kusema yale viongozi wengine wamesema, yale wamesema, mimi naungana na hawa, Leo ni siku kuu ya kimataifa na mimi sitaki kusema mengi.
Now, the government of Kenya and international investors have at COP28 announced deals worthy $4.48 billion for green development projects in Kenya. So far, now 7 international companies and governments have given a nod to the projects, most of which have a commercial operation date of December 2025. The said projects include a $1.5 billion green fertilizer project by Fortescue Future Industries and the government of Kenya's $600 million data center at Olkaria, courtesy of Kengen Konza USA investors, $1 billion 300 megawatts Suswa geothermal project between the government of Kenya and the government of Indonesia, $110 million 35 megawatts Menengai geothermal project, which will be undertaken by geothermal development company Globleg. In the meantime, Kenya and the United Arab Emirates have committed to work closely to increase their value of trade. The two countries will also exploit their long-standing relations to enhance bilateral investments. President William Ruto said robust trade relations will ensure that Kenya expands its value of exports to UAE, which stands at $34.6 billion a year.
We have come here to profile our assets, whether it is in the Sahel region, where my brother, the president of Mauritania, comes from. The renewable assets of solar in that part of the world are immense, and we want to use those resources for the growth of our continent. Whether it is renewable assets in other parts of our country, whether it is renewable hydro energy in Zambia, in Zimbabwe, these are assets that are available to us. Whether it is the huge Hinga Dam in DRC and Congo that we can use to generate renewable energy, or the geothermal resources, wind, solar in East Africa, in Kenya, in Burundi, in Rwanda, in Tanzania. These are assets that are available to us as a continent, and we want to bring these assets onto the table so that we can leverage on these assets for industrialization of our continent, to create jobs, to create opportunity, and to make sure that we even the scales on the development of our globe.
And Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has said the government will end the banditry menace in the North Rift region, saying it will not be acceptable for people to lose lives to bandits. Speaking on Sunday during a church service in Baragoi, Samburu County, the Deputy President vowed to ensure the guns fall silent in the region with no hesitation. Our very own Chichi Josephine tells us more.
Attending a church service in Baragoi, Samburu County on Sunday, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua issued a stern warning to bandits terrorizing residents in the region, saying that the government will not tolerate killings and cattle rustling anymore.
Sisi kuna mambo hatuwezi kubali. Hii mambo ya wizi wa ng'ombe imepitwa na wakati. It is outdated cultural practice. Mambo ya kuua Mkenya mwingine ni mambo ambayo hawezi kubalika. Wiki iliyopita hapa Baragoi wameua mwalimu. Si amezikwa jana? Sitaki niongee na ukali kwa sababu niko kanisani. Niseme nyinyi tuko na nyinyi.
While committing to end the insecurity menace that has plagued the North Rift region, the DP gave a directive to all chiefs and assistant chiefs in the region to seize all illegal firearms in possession of bandits and unlicensed persons.
Wewe chief ama assistant chief, bunduki ziko kwako, wewe unajua. Muende musanye bunduki mrudishe. Na niseme mkitoka hapa leo, tukisikia mulio ya risasi kwa sublocation yako, wewe chief utaenda nyumbani.
As a way of tackling insecurity in the region, the second in command noted that lack of electricity and internet connectivity were contributing to insecurity in the area, adding that the government is working toward establishing dependable connectivity. Elsewhere in Turkana County, while attending a church service at Holy Family Church in Lodwar, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen assured residents of the government's commitment to improve roads in the North Rift counties to address the issue of insecurity in Kerio Valley.
Kuna barabara moja kabisa nimeongea na World Bank na African Development Bank. Nimeambia mkinisaidia barabara ya Chamalingot, ikuje Kapedo, ikuje Lokori. Haki nitapambana na wakora kwa hii vale hii itakuwa imeisha.
Kuna mabarabara ambayo ikifunguliwa yote Turkana haitakuwa sawa tena. Hata wakora wahalifu wale wanasumbua watu ni kwa sababu wanajua serikali haitafika huko.
The CS highlighted that roads from Chemolingot in Baringo County to Lokori in Turkana East will open up the region and reduce the number of attacks and open up businesses to people.
Nishapatia Kenya orders, they are designing. I want Kerio Valley ifunguliwe mpaka mtu mwenye anabeba bunduki ajue apitie njia gani, because the place has been opened because of security roads.
Chichi, Josephine, TV47.
Thank you, Chichi Josephine, for that. Let's move on. And the Kenyan government's proposal to privatize 11 state corporations has received critics and mixed reactions from Kenyans of all calibers. Speaking during the Sunday services in Bumula constituency, the area MP Jack Wanami Wamboka criticized the decision and called for the government to consider the Mwananchi first. On their part, National Council of Churches, Bungoma branch led by Anglican Bishop George Mechumo, said they have opposed the move, stating that it will undermine the power of the state and asked the government to drop the intentions.
Joining each other, kama KICC, National Oil, Kenya Pipeline, Kenya Ports Authority. Rais ameingia utawala, appetite gani ya pesa huko nayo? Ile Kenyatta hakuwa nayo. Ile Moi hakuwa nayo, Kibaki hakuwa nayo, Kenyatta hakuwa nayo, Uhuru Kenyatta. Wewe unataka kuuza parastato zote za Kenya. Kwa nini? Kwa nini? Kwa nini? Umefinya wananchi tax, umefinya kabisa tax ya nyumba, tax ya mafuta. Saa hii kuzaliwa Kenya ni gharama.
Mashirika ambayo hapo awali zimekuwa kwa serikali siweze kuuzwa kwa watu raia na kampuni ambazo sio za serikali. Jambo hili tumeona sisi kama kanisa kwamba waweze kulifutilia mbali kwa sababu itaharibu zaidi hali ya uchumi nchini, na tena zaidi serikali itakuwa inajiusa kwa sababu watu wasio serikali watakuwa wana usemi ulio mkubwa sana katika masuala ya uongozi katika taifa kuliko serikali yenyewe, na hapo itasababisha matatizo mengi.
And the government has been urged to consider dropping its plan to hike land fees so as to woo more investors in the country and enable more Kenyans to own land for faster achievement of its affordable housing agenda. Frida Nyakeo reports.
Low-income Kenyans took issue with the government for planning to increase service fees levied on lands as it seeks to cast its revenue net wider. Led by John Mungai, a boda operator with aspiration to own land, they lamented the reality that most of them, and especially those in the informal sector, will be locked out from owning land and consequently homes should the government continue with its plan to hike various land-related services.
Kwa vile maisha imekuwa ngumu, waweze kuteremsha taxes kidogo, agarau mtu aweze kujipatia agarau hata kama ni plot moja.
The government through the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development seeks to hike various land fees including land registration fees that is said to be increased 100 times, cost of official land search which will double to shillings 2,000, fees on registration of documents including deeds of indemnity, agreement, contracts and trust deeds which will rise up to shillings 50,000.
Ukweli, huwezi ukatuambia utatujengea nyumba na saa hiyo mahali tunaweza pata hizo mashamba na bei rahisi umetuongezea nini? Sasa ni kutuvuja moyo na mikono.
Players in the real estate sector under the umbrella body Association of Real Estate Stakeholders have raised the concerns to the Alice Wahome-led Lands Ministry.
Serikali imetoa kile wanataka kuchaji katika mashamba. Walituita kitu inaitangwa public participation, tulienda na sababu tulipata hiyo nafasi ya kuketi chini pamoja na serikali, najua tutapata solution.
The government is set to collect billions of shillings from the essential services, thereby adding more tax burdens to Kenyans. Frida Nyakio, TV47.
Thank you, Frida Nyakio, for that. Now, the State Department of Public Works has stated that the Barjun Towers in Pangani collapsed on Saturday because the scaffolding structure was not properly maintained. In a statement to newsrooms this afternoon, Principal Secretary Joel Arumanyang noted that the scaffold the construction workers were using was constructed of deteriorated wooden planks, and as a result of weather, the structure had grown flimsy and unstable, unable to support the weight of the laborers, the tools, and the supplies. The PSO said those found responsible for the incident were Let me take that again. Now, the PS said those found responsible for the incident where 4 people died and injured 8 others after the scaffold collapsed on Saturday will face consequences. According to the PS, the incident occurred while workers on the 17th floor project were plastering the external walls of the 15th, 16th and 17th floors. The PS further cautioned that the honors of ensuring a safe and healthy workplace for employees is primarily on developers and contractors. Now, the second annual Nairobi County Festival is now seeking to showcase the extravaganza of local cultures and heritage, tourism, local and international talents. This year's festivities will be heightened with various activities, including the first ever hot air balloon being launched into the skies. The event's organizers are looking at giving revelers an unforgettable experience from the 12th to the 19th of this month.
An amazing experience. It's something that I never imagined I would be able to do in Nairobi. Hot air balloon in Nairobi, it's one of the things that has to be in your bucket list, and I'm very lucky to be among the first people to experience this. And during the Nairobi Festival, the hot air balloon will be here for the whole week.
We'll have a kiddie zone, we'll have talent showcasing, a trade fair. I mean, it's an exciting experience, and I encourage everyone to come to Uhuru Park and celebrate with the county government, celebrate our culture, celebrate our city.
To the world of sports now, and Lodwar Township ladies team have been crowned as the champions after beating Kakuma on penalties in the OKM Super Cup finals. After witnessing a barren draw in the regular time, the match was decided on penalties as Lodwar Township outscored Kakuma with 4 goals to 1. The men's finals will be played tomorrow in Kapenguria.
Waturkana wamefurahia, ndio maana wamejitokeza, hata kama kuna challenges, lakini wamejitokeza. Hawajaangalia challenges, wameng'ang'ana kuhakikisha ya kwamba tutaonyesha dunia nzima au Kenya nzima kwamba kuna talanta za kutosha Turkana, na kwamba wakati huu Waturkana wataibuka washindi.
Idea kuleta the communities ambao wamekuwa wakishiriki kwa conflict because of animals, that is the Turkana and mostly the Pokot. So italeta watu pamoja, especially the youth ambao huwa wanatumika kwa kufanya vitu na raid. So it's a good initiative.
Our plan is to have the winners in each county is going home with 500,000 shillings. The runners-up is 300 and the last is 200, the third.
Now, Team Kenya Police maintained its lead of Boxing Federation of Kenya National League by winning the 4th leg of the league with 33 points. Ahead of leg runners-up team, Kenya Defence Forces, who got 26 points. Team Nairobi County sealed podium position by emerging in position 3 after winning 10 points. In the overall standing, Team Kenya Police leads with 120 points. KDF are second with 98 points, while Nairobi County and Kenya Prison are engaged in a close close battle for third place in the league table with 30 and 27 points respectively. The winners of the league will be decided in the final leg, which will take place in Kisumu County on the 14th to the 16th of December 2023.
Kwanza nitamshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kuweza kutulinda kuanzia mchezo ulivyoanza ligi ya 4 hapa taifa ya Kenya, na amenilinda kulipa ushindi kuanzia game ya kwanza, quarter, semi hadi leo finali. Mchezo umekuwa migumu, kila mtu alikuwa amejiandaa vilivyo, na nashukuru Mungu nimeweza kuwa na walimu ambao walikuwa pembezoni mwa jukwaa kuweza kunipa mawaidha na maongozo mazuri ya kuweza kuhimili hizo fight. Wapinzani wote walikuwa wazuri, walikuwa kakamavu, lakini kila kwenye mshindano kuna mshindwa na mshindi. Nashukuru nimeibuka mshindi, na hii ndio final langu, pigano langu la mwisho la finali. Nimeweza kucheza na mpinzani nikaweza kusimamisha kwa raundi ya pili.
Right, and we're now due for our very fast commercial break here on TV47 Weekend Edition. But that does not mean you should go anywhere, okay? Stay with us because we come back.